I hope my good friend Jayant Sinha has told the Honourable Finance Minister how much he was missed last Friday and how eagerly we have been awaiting his return from the UK. We recognise that he had gone there for a historic occasion. We cannot forget, even if we are prepared to forgive, what Winston Churchill...
Today, the understanding was we will have half-an-hour discussion today and then Minister will give a reply. Please keep that in mind and then call.
Yes, Sugata Bose ji, you have to speak.
Yes, I will take no more than 5 minutes, sir.
5 minutes?
Yes, 5 minutes. Yes. You know, we cannot forget, even if we are prepared to forgive, what Winston Churchill had said about Mahatma Gandhi in 1931. It was a very proud moment for all Indians to see our Finance Minister standing next to the current Conservative Prime Minister of Britain as he paid tribute to the father of our nation. The man whom Churchill had described as a fakir and whose simple attire he had mocked stands tall today in London's Parliament Square. Mr. Arun Jaitley, who is yet to arrive in the House, has a charming old-world quality about him. I'm reminded of the 1980s whenever he pronounces on economic matters, which he invariably does with great conviction. I had spent that unfortunate decade in Thatcher's Britain and Reagan's America. Mr. Jaitley still clings to Reaganite dogma, believing that tax cuts for the rich will somehow spur economic growth. The best research in economics over the last 3 decades has exploded that myth. The Finance Minister has issued a promissory note regarding the lowering of the corporate tax rate from 30% to 25% and abolished the wealth tax. My esteemed colleague, Mr. Sugata Bose, has already pointed out that it requires no financial wizardry to figure out that his shift from direct taxes to indirect taxes is highly regressive. I am glad that our Finance Minister has become less dogmatic in one respect, namely in his tendency to fetishize the need to reduce the fiscal deficit at a fast pace. He is right to have given himself more time, 3 years rather than 2, in his effort to draw down the fiscal deficit to 3% of GDP. The Prime Minister must have whispered in his ear, "I have recently visited Japan and seen the wonders of Abenomics, which is better than Reaganomics." Our economy needs the stimulus of greater public spending, particularly in social sectors, to quicken the pace of growth rather than any unnecessary tightening of the fiscal belt. I would urge the Finance Minister not to worry too much about the fiscal deficit so long as he can bring it down below the 4% mark next year and then steadily move towards his target. Has the Finance Minister truly embraced the states as equal partners in the country's development, as he claimed? Despite the rhetoric about cooperative federalism, the record here is decidedly mixed. The marginal increase in the state's share of revenue resources has come courtesy of the Finance Commission, not through the largesse of this government. We are glad that the proceeds of the coal auctions will benefit the resource-rich yet poverty-stricken eastern states, and there are 1 or 2 incentives tucked away in the budget that might help attract fresh investment to these states. Yet the abolition of the Planning Commission does not bode well for the future of federalism. The Chief Minister's conclave under the aegis of the newfangled Niti Aayog can aspire to be no more than a talking shop. The key economic decisions regarding allocations are being centralized under the Finance Ministry. I do not doubt the sincerity of the Finance Minister's wish for his government to be intellectually honest. Yet, it talks about federalism and acts to centralize. It speaks of humility and behaves arrogantly. Our commitment to farmers runs deep, the Finance Minister claimed in his budget speech. It runs so deep that the government has railroaded the land acquisition bill through the Lok Sabha that does away the need to take consent of farmers while looting even their fertile multi-crop land to gift away to its corporate friends. What is Jan Dhan, Madam Speaker? The government is proud of their Jan Dhan Yojana that has created over 12 crore zero-balance bank accounts, mostly zero-balance bank accounts. Yet it feels no shame in taking away Jan Dhan which in India's villages mostly takes the form of small parcels of land of peasants.
Yes.
Speaking on the budget last year, I will take 1 more minute.
Please.
Speaking on the budget last year, I had said that our future development has to be built on 3 pillars: infrastructure, education and health. I commend the Finance Minister once more for committing public funds to infrastructure projects, even though the funds may get clogged up if the infrastructure projects are not implemented fast. I must express my deep disappointment again at the utter neglect of education, especially school education and public health. Spending on flagship projects in education, such as Sarva Shiksha Abhijan, has suffered severe cuts. The ritual of announcing a few new IITs, IIMs and AIMS-like institutions will do little to achieve excellence in the field of higher education. Just half a minute more, Madam. In the spirit of cooperative federalism, I urge the Finance Minister to support the most promising state universities. And the fanfare over the Swachh Bharat Abhijan is masking the government's unwillingness to address the public health crisis looming across the country, which should be done on a war footing. To conclude, Madam Speaker, the Finance Minister's budget speech brought cheer to a handful of billionaires in our country. Having listened to the opposition, I hope his reply today will offer something that might warm the hearts of 1 billion ordinary Indians. The Amirs can take care of themselves. Please look after the interest of the fakirs of India. Thank you, Madam Speaker.